Okay. Hi, I'm Angie. I am the founder of Team Grit, and this is our meeting for, what is the week? 8/22, 8/23, something like that. For August, we're going to talking about self-sabotage. And we just did recognition, but I forgot to hit record. So what I was saying, though, was that I will try to make sure I'm going to have something that goes in our team page weekly so that we can start applauding as we start helping lives, so that we can see that. And when we do that, I'd like to maybe even make sure that we're recognizing and saying like the names of the people that we're helping, so that we are connecting what we're doing with people instead of numbers. Do you know, does that make sense? So I want to make sure that we do that. I was trying to think of what else I always have been trying to do in the beginning and then forget because I get so excited. But I'm excited, so I can't think of what it was. We're going to talk about defeating self-sabotage today. And the reason we are going to talk about that is because I am preaching to myself. It is one of the things I find myself doing. I'm rolling along really good, think I'm doing really good, and then all of a sudden, I know, I'm even aware that I'm doing it. And I'm like, man, Angie, you just kind of went off the rails and sabotaged everything you're doing. Whether it's in my Beachbody business or whether it's with my fitness, my eating plans, different things like that. I'll be rolling along really good, and then just if it's like with my food type, then I'll have a binge day and go, why did I even do that? So I looked up Mel Abraham is the name of the person, and it was a podcast. Session 59 was the podcast that I was listening to. And he had so many good points to make about self-sabotage that I just thought I'd share with you guys, because maybe you struggle with the same thing that I do and go through these self-defeating behaviors. So what we need to do when we're looking at our self-sabotage is we have to find behavior baselines. Recognize the behaviors that contribute to our self-sabotage. So for me, I'm just going to go with my eating. We'll talk about that part. So some of the behaviors that contribute are when I just, like I just said, I'll go on a sugar binge for a day or something like that. But what I need to do is figure out what caused that. So that the particular day that I had a binge, you have to go to higher ground, move and go find out what triggered it. And for me, I realized, and I've come to realize this, and I'm trying to change these things. My triggers for me tend to be when I feel not confident in myself. If there's something going on that I feel unconfident about, or stressed, if there's a little bit of stress going on in my life. So I don't know if you can relate to this example where, you know, when people have a really stressful day and they all say, and I hear people say, man, all I need is a beer. And they're talking about they want to go and have that beer because that's going to make them feel good. I'm that way about pop, about Coke, 32-ounce Coke. When I am drinking a 32-ounce Coke, it is like rebellion to me. It is like I am the bad girl, and I am sucking on that Coke, and I'm drinking that Coke, and I'm like, bad. I know, it's weird, but that's how I am. So when that's my behavior, and that's my trigger is stress, and that's how I get it out. That 32-ounce Coke gets me every time. But so the first, before I can change my behavior, I have to identify that trigger. And I've been good now about identifying those triggers. And so now I'm in the process of trying to change that behavior based on the trigger. So part of what I have to do is keep my eye on the prize, understand what I'm doing. So with my fitness level, what I have to do is I have to make sure I'm keeping my eye on the prize, and the prize is feeling better. And so what's helped me now is, since I've been eating cleaner, when I have a pop, especially if I do 32 ounces, which I just don't do anymore, but even if I do 8 or 12 ounces, I'll lay awake at night at 2 o'clock in the morning with eyes wide open going, why did I do that? So I'm understanding the process of the behavior and then the consequences of the behavior. And that's helping me to not you know, I'm still falling into it, but not as often as I used to, if that makes sense. So if you relate to that to your Beachbody business, self-defeating behavior in Beachbody business would be being not consistent, not following through on a daily power hour, or not following through on your workouts, things like that. So what you need to do is identify why you are not following through. What's causing you to hold back from getting on the computer and doing your daily invites, doing your 3 vital behaviors, those things. So you need to figure out what those triggers are. So the sabotage eliminator, there are 4 stages involved in removing the self-sabotage from your life. So the first is observe your behavior. So for me, if it's the pop thing, that's what I'm observing. If it's with your Beachbody business, observe your behavior on maybe failing to follow through, or maybe failing to invite people, or failing to invite people to be a coach. Any one of those things could be the behavior that you're sabotaging yourself with. So revisit and reflect on those times when you felt that you self-sabotaged, when you know for sure it wasn't an outside thing that stopped you, but it was your own internal thoughts, your own attitudes, your own thought processes that caused you to sabotage. And so think about those things. Become aware. We can't change habits that we don't know that we have. So think about any thought process, subconscious maybe even, you might have to try to tap into those things and think about what happened during the day on the days that you didn't follow through on those goals that you wanted to do. So what happened those days? What were you thinking about? What were you eating? What were you feeling like? What was going on? So become aware of what was going on. Then recognize it for what it is. So for me, with the Coke thing, because I feel like I'm getting a better handle on that, recognizing it for what it is recognizing that when I am stressed and I want to feel bad, then that's when I need to be very careful about my actions afterwards, and to be intentional about my thought processes, and to remind myself that it's not worth the cost. So then after you recognize it for what it is, find the pattern of behavior, and then make a list. So if you have certain behaviors that you do, and I'm going to relate to an aunt who gave up smoking, but she said the hardest thing for her about giving up smoking was if she drank a beer, she wanted a cigarette. And so those two went together for her. My pattern of behavior had been, anytime I got in my car, I'd gotten to the point where anytime I got in my car, I would make sure I went and bought a pop. I never kept pop in the house because I know that that's an issue for me, but I had gotten to the point where I would go and buy a pop. So now my pattern of behavior has been to change that, and I have LaCroix at home. So now if I'm in my car, I have either hot tea that I've made at home, or I've had LaCroix. So I find out that list, what are the contributing factors? I list it out. Then things that distract you. Any habits or patterns that distract you. So if we're talking about food issues or things like that, the internet, food and drinks, all of those things are contributing factors if we're talking eating patterns. I already talked about this. Define the trigger. Find the moment in time that triggers the behavior, or a thought which redirects you from success and unproductivity. In my Beachbody business, usually what happens with me is, I said, I feel unsuccessful. I feel there's something that I need to do that I don't know how to do. And so for me, that pattern is to hold back and to draw back, and not even to do the things that I know to do, because there's something I know I need to be doing and I haven't figured out how yet. Does that make sense? Anyway, so find those behaviors and thought patterns that lead to that. So a lot of this is all mental. I mean, really, a lot of our self-sabotage is figuring out the mental processes that we're going through. So it's your mindset, and revisiting what your mindset is when you're going into this. So then once you know and you've defined the trigger, replace your behavior. And I already accidentally went into that when I was talking about the Coke thing. I replaced my behavior of going and driving and buying a Coke with making tea at home and having that in the car with me, or taking LaCroix with me. And honestly, sometimes I'm in my car and I have my Shakeology with me, I have my hot tea with me, and I have a LaCroix with me because I got to have it all. Something about driving, I'm a drinker and a driver, but it's all pop or not pop, it's LaCroix and Shakeology and all of that. So replace that behavior with something that is more appropriate and positive and productive. And so what I've been doing for my business, for the things that when I find myself being unproductive and self-sabotaging into my business, today something happened and it got me a little bit down. And so I went to my book, Failing Forward, personal development book, Failing Forward. And I just went through and started reading different highlights from that because I was feeling a little bit like I had been taking a couple of steps forward and I felt like I was falling back and felt like I was failing. So I was trying to replace my behavior of bad thought processes with reading that personal development and reaffirming in my mind what my goals are, what my priorities are, and that it's okay to fail as long as I keep pushing forward and keep moving forward after that failure. So connect those old triggers with your old triggers, and then replace those old triggers with positive behaviors. That's what I meant to say. So part of how we do this is with journaling and writing down commitments of what we want to do, statements that help us stick to it. So this all relates to what we're going to be coming up to next week, which is making our dream boards, and it relates to those goals that I had you do last week, which, by the way, good job on turning those goals in. I appreciate it. And Selena, I meant to come back in and say to you, I'm a little bit of a Dory, and I called you out on not setting your goal on when, and it was the end of the year. That's what I told you, but I Doried on you, and so I'm sorry. You're right. So yeah, but that's a lot of what that's why we're being told all the time to set our goals and to set timelines for our goals and to set all of these things, because when we write these things down and we get those commitments set down, it really helps us as we come across behaviors that we know aren't going to help us accomplish those goals. And then we need to refocus and shift and come into having better behaviors, if that makes sense. So then the other thing that you want to do is get champions. And that's what this team is, and that's what these team calls are for too. You want to be surrounded by people who are going to hold you accountable. And we can totally do that as a team. Selena can do that with her downline coaches, with you guys. I can do that with Selena and then with you guys, but we can all together hold each other accountable. So if there's something that one of us is struggling with and we really want to put it out on there, either privately, you can reach out to each other and just say, I really would like you to hold me accountable on this one thing. Maybe team up and just partner up together and just talk to each other and say, this week I want to be focused in my power hour every 4 out of the 5 days or 4 out of the 7 days. It just depends on what your goal is and where you've been struggling with that. So you want people who are going to support you in that. The other thing you need to tell them is what your triggers are and what your new behavior is going to be. So I actually never did that with my pop thing. I just kind of did it on my own. But this is a good thing for if it's a food issue at home, to get your family involved and just say, hey, family, if you see me going for pop, call me out on it, help me to distract me or remind me what my goals are, that kind of thing. Now, I say that, but you have to do it if you will take it in a good manner. I have never asked my husband to hold me accountable on those types of things, because I know when he does, which I know he will, I would be a little bit about it. So I didn't want that to be a source of contention for the two of us. So I have not made him I've not asked him to hold me accountable, because I knew that I would get a little bit cranky with him and I didn't want to be that way. But if you have a best friend or if you have someone, depending on which of your behaviors you're working on, whether it's a food or a business or something, find somebody in that arena that you can find to help hold you accountable. And then give them permission to hold you accountable for your actions. And this is where I know with my husband, I would not give him permission to hold me accountable for not drinking pop, because I know he would, and then I would get cranky. So I'm working on that one. Take the actions, tie the actions to consequences or rewards. And this one was crazy. I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy right now. He talked about this, and you have to be super committed on this one. If you decide that you have a specific action that you for sure want to quit, like if it's the pop thing for me, or my aunt with smoking cigarettes, or with other things like that, find something that you disagree with. So what he said is find a charity that you disagree with, or find a group that you disagree with. So if you're, I'm going to go political on you guys. If you're a Republican and you disagree with Democrats, choose the Democratic National Party. If you're a Democrat, choose the Republican National Party. And tell the person that's holding you accountable, if I do not do X, Y, Z, I am going to give $100 to this political party that I don't agree with. Make it an amount that's going to hurt a little bit, and then hold yourself accountable. And if you don't, that's that last part where if you decide that you really, really need to quit something and you need major motivation, then knowing that you have to give money to something that you don't agree with, that would be a major motivation. So there's a thought process with that. And then finally, celebrate your minor successes. And for me, that's been key for the pop thing. I really celebrated it first. I did a step down process, and I celebrated every step down that I did. And I'm still celebrating that I go 2 weeks without drinking a pop. I go 3 weeks without drinking a pop. Those are little things. I have to give myself those little celebrations. But what those celebrations do is they build confidence, and they move you forward. Because I know I've made it 2 weeks. Now I know I can make it again in 2 weeks. But then the other thing is, in our Beachbody business, when we celebrate every little thing we do, and I like to celebrate my actions, not maybe necessarily the results. So I like to celebrate when I have my focused power hours, when I get 7 of them in the week, or however that works, or if it's the inviting that I have been struggling with. When I get those things done, I like to celebrate those, because what that means is it gives me a bigger vision. I know I can do this, and now I know I can do even more. And since I've been in this for over a year and a half now, I've really grown a lot. And I don't know if you guys have started experiencing that with yourselves too, gaining more confidence in yourself as a coach, gaining more confidence in different areas of coaching. And so the things that I was really scared about when I first started as a coach, they really don't scare me as much anymore. And the things that I didn't know how to do, I've learned, and now I'm ready to learn to do even more things. So celebrating those little successes, it builds confidence, it moves you forward, and it gives you a bigger vision on, if I can do that, now what else can I do? So I'm going to tie that into this month with Beachbody Cup. As we're going through that, when you hit your goal, whatever your goal is for the cup this month, when you hit that goal and you help 3 people or 5 people or 8 people, once you know you can do it once, then you can say, wow, I've done it. I managed to get that done, and now I know I can do it again. And so celebrate that, and then just move on to the next thing. So those were the things that I grabbed from my self-sabotage podcast that I listened to from Mel Abraham. And I hope those help you. Do you have any questions on that? Anything you want to add to it? I talked with my hands a lot today. Anything else with that? Emily? Anything?
I don't think so.
No. For some reason, my little light popped over to you, so I thought maybe you inhaled or something. I thought you were going to say something. One of the other things, what was I thinking about too when I was trying to decide what to talk about? Things that hold us back in the business is one of the other things I had considered talking about, and I had a little plan laid out. And I think our biggest thing that holds us back is fear. Fear, and it can be fear in several different formats. It can be fear of what other people think of us. It can be fear of being perceived wrong, that our motives might be perceived wrong by other people. It can be fear of success even. Sometimes I think and self-limiting doubts in your head, things in your head, maybe you don't believe that you're capable of this. And this is all stuff that I've had to deal with. And I'm still dealing with limiting beliefs in my head. And so think about those in your head, different things that you tell yourself. Do you tell yourself you are not a leader? And that's why you don't reach out to have people be coaches under you, because you're afraid to be a leader. That's one of my things that I've been working through, because that's been a legitimate fear of mine. So and I still struggle with it, and I'm trying to be a better leader every day, working on that. So part of that, I used to think it was hokey to do those affirmations. Do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say positive affirmations? To write them out and say, I am a 2-star diamond, I am a leader, I am confident. But I'm starting to believe it's not hokey anymore, and I'm going to be doing those things. And I've started saying things like, I am a leader, and things like, I understand technology. I hope just by saying it, how osmosis will come through. I understand technology. I can do this. So those are the things that I think hold us back the most: fear and limiting thoughts in our heads. And so I would like you, for your homework tonight, to think about any self-sabotaging behaviors you have. And I don't mean list them all out if you have a lot or a little. Pick 1 or 2. And then work through this process of what triggers that behavior, what could you do different, and then the self-limiting thoughts maybe that are attached to that behavior. I'm not going to make you necessarily put it on Team Grit. If you would like to post it on Team Grit, you can. I may post tomorrow about my limiting thought process of being a leader and trying to work through that, and my positive affirmations that yes, I am a leader, and yes, I do understand technology. So why is this not allowing me? Oops. Can you guys see that little thing that popped up, or doesn't it show? No. I have a message on my screen.
I don't see anything.
Okay. We have less than 10 minutes, so I can't get it to go off. But do you guys have anything you want to talk about Team Cop, next week, message boards? We're going to work, next week is going to be interactive. I'm not going to necessarily be talking. We're going to be working on our message boards together. Look at my phone. This is my message board. I don't know if you can tell, but it's got gold foil on it, and I got it at Hobby Lobby. You don't have to do anything that big or that fancy. I just needed something that I could get myself behind. So anyway, cut out pictures, think about what you want on your dream boards, get ready, because next week that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be putting our dream boards together, and I want everybody to be talking about it's going to be all of us talking. If none of you show up, I will talk to myself on the team meeting.
Are you going to record that?
What's that?
I said, will you be recording that?
Yes, I will.
So we can watch that.
Record it. Put it on the team page, me talking to myself. So yeah, I don't know how I'm going to set my computer up to be looking at the floor, but I'll have it and I'm going to be gluing. I needed to have a physical one. I know maybe some of you might want to do an online one, and if you want to do that, then you can just chat with us if the rest, whoever's doing physical ones. But cut out pictures of things, think about what you said your goals were for the dream board, and have a physical representation of your dream in some way. So we've got a whole week to get that around, and we'll be all set. Okay? Anything else? Nope. We all good? Now, oh, here's the other problem. You know what I think happened? I think somebody is actually the leader. Oh, no, right here. I'm going to hit stop. We recorded all that craziness. But I have nothing. I have this thing that I can't click on. I am not responding in any way. Selena, you switched to the other side of the screen.
Oh.
Hi, you're over here now. Are you the mediator by any chance?
I can check. I don't think so. Actually, Emily was here first, so I don't know if it goes.
I don't know
by
how to do that.
No, I'm looking. Angie, it says you're the host.
It
says you're the host.
Well,
in my stuff, it says you're the host.
Okay. My screen is on full screen, and everything I'm clicking is not responding. Okay. So I don't know how to get us off from here to leave the meeting, other than you guys can all leave if you want to. I don't even know. Whoops. There went Selena. There you are.
Oh, I pushed a stop video button to see if that worked, and it stopped my video.
It stopped your video?
Yeah, it just took me off the
You
screen.
can record too?
No, I mean, it took me off the screen. That's why I went off for a minute.
Now I have another thing that's blocking all of you. Like, I can only see you, Selena. It's like my mouse is only working part of the time. I'm clicking on some things, and it's opening things up but won't close things out. So I'll just tell you guys to leave the meeting, and then I'm just going to keep clicking until it does something. I have no idea. And I don't know how to edit video, so this is going to be on YouTube for all people to see.
It's all part of your technology training, right?
All my I do understand technology. I do understand technology. I know how to use it.
All right.
What was it? Oh, Selena, you know
Yes.
how we when at Summit we were kind of saying, "Oh, we are so much alike. I like this. I like that." I found one thing we do not have in common. I am not a pumpkin spice person at all.
No.
Pumpkin spice Cheerios would not be any kind of temptation to me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I like pumpkin pie with Cool Whip. That's about.
Oh, I love pumpkin pie with Cool Whip.
That's the only time I eat pumpkin. I'll eat pumpkin pie one piece. But if there's apple, forget it. I won't even do that.
Yeah, I like apple too.
Well, I gotta have one of each.
Yeah, me too.
Well, truth. I think I did Thanksgiving one year and made apple and blueberry pie and wasn't going to make pumpkin at all. I don't think I did. But my mother-in-law made pumpkin because she just couldn't handle Thanksgiving without pumpkin.
I was going to say, I don't think I would attend.
I'm sorry I can't come.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
My challenge group is like crickets. I know they're doing work, but they are they're just not posting. I don't know if it's just something they don't care to do or they forget. It's just not something they're used to. But I'm being a product of the product, and I'm always on, and I do videos every day and do many challenges, and I post them, and I'm doing my food log, just, doing everything I want them to do, but not very many of them are responding. So what do you do when that happens?
Sometimes I send private messages to people and just be, hey, you're kind of quiet in the group. What, are you okay? Do you need anything? Is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah, I do that.
Occasionally, I have done an extra challenge day where I offer a prize on that day if they all post. The bad thing about that is sometimes it's a big flop, and the only person who ever posts is the one who posts and still gets the prize.
Mm-hmm.
So there, I find it depends. Every group is unique. Every group has its own feel and its own vibe. And sometimes you're going to get people who are just really super into it. And then I've had a couple of groups where I honestly didn't know if anybody was there. That was how many people were showing up to post. They would like things, or I would see that 10 people had viewed something, but not even one person had liked it, but I knew they viewed it. So
I mention it in my video almost every day, just the aspect of encouraging one another, because that's what it's about. And for someone to post on someone else's post is just, it's encouraging, and they're not doing that. I've got one.
I think one group I actually got.
So,
yeah, I think one group I actually got Angie version of Cranky, where I called them out in video and said, hey guys, I can only do so much in the group. I can only put so much energy into the group. The group is you, and you're not showing up. So I may have done that once. I don't do it that's once out of all the groups I've done. I may have done that, and I'm still not sure. Sometimes they need that tough love, and then sometimes I feel like that's just maybe what they don't need. But
yeah,
you have to pay attention to the people in your group and think about whether they would benefit from that or not.
Yeah. I'm close to everybody in my group too, and so that's what's weird. I'm really close with them, so I would think they were posting more, but maybe they're not because it's me.
Well, that could be too, right?
And what are they saying to you, Stacey, when you send them personal messages, and you're touching
They're
base?
like, I'm doing good. Yeah, I got my workout in, and I actually had one of the people over for dinner the other night, and she had said whatever she had, and I was like, and why didn't you post that on the page? Because it was Saturday and it was post your food, and